I need to systematically figure it out because there is, we're doing our buyer shows now.
Right.
And we're hearing from buyers, and I'm talking to buyers every day, and doing Win This Listing, I sort of played listing agent, sort of, if you will.
Right.
Now I'm sort of playing buyer's agent, and what I've found, to be honest, Steve, is that most buyers don't know anything. They don't know anything. They don't know anything about the process. They don't know how to research a home. They don't know how to look for a home. They don't know how to determine what kind of home they want or where they want to be.
But it sounds wonderful to buy.
But they have different motivations for
Absolutely.
buying. For example, one lady said, I want to have something to leave my children.
Yeah, the
So
legacy.
I have nothing. I want them to have, I want to have a home that I can leave them. I want to have something to give them, and it's going to be a home. And that's why she wants to buy. Other people say, well, I'm tired of throwing my money away on rent. I'm sick of it. I don't want to waste money on rent anymore, so I want to buy. Okay. What kind of house would you like, or where? Can you give me anything? And they really are at that point where they're like, I don't know.
Mom and dad say this is a good idea because mom and dad built their wealth through real estate, and they've told me now's the time to jump in. So I wasn't really thinking about it, but I'm getting pressure from them to do it, and they've said that they're going to contribute $25,000 towards our down payment or something.
My lease renewal is in March.
Yeah.
And I want to, thank you, Carrie. And I want to take this and I want to buy something before then.
Yeah.
Or there's some people who do know exactly what they want, but they're never going to find it. And so it's just really, really interesting having gone to.
I'm so glad that you get a little peek behind the curtain.
This is more than a little peek.
Yeah, this is like, whoa!
This is shoved on stage.
Go! I love it.
So, and one gentleman who told me, I said, well, where are you looking? Like what? I was trying to figure out where to start, man. So you want to buy a house? All right, where are you looking?
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm looking in Escondido, Del Mar, and Chula Vista.
Very similar, all exactly similar markets.
Like, wow, okay.
It's almost like he went alphabetical. It was like looking through San Diego County.
North to
it was
south.
Like Aardvark, okay, Chula Vista, Del Mar, Escondido.
So I'm trying to figure out like where to start with some of these things. Some people will know like North County, and that helps. Like, okay, hey, I want to be north of the 56. Great, that's at least somewhere to start. But then there's also, well, who's gonna pay for this?
Right.
Who's gonna be on the loan? How much do you have to put down? What payment are you comfortable with? Like, where do you start? I need to systematically figure out how to do this because a lot of people are applying to be on these shows, and I'm having a really hard time, herding the cats together each time in this situation.
And I would say the problem is most buyers don't know until they even start looking. They'll have a general idea. I mean, you will have stories, every realtor has stories of, my most recent story, Steve, the only criteria that we have is single family home and it has to have a pool. My wife swims all the time, that's the requirement. So, okay, that's what we're gonna look at. And lo and behold, you know where this is going. We look at property and they say, single family home, gotta have a community pool. They bought a single family home that is not in an HOA, no community pool, no pool in the back. They're like 10 miles from the YMCA. That was their settling ground. Most buyers don't really know what they want and until they start going through that process of seeing what the market has to bear and figuring it out. And when you have two people, even people that love each other, like husband and wife, most of them love each other, that then you realize there are things that are non-negotiable to them when you really get down to brass tacks. And so where do you start when you have all these inquiries and they're all over the place? I try to figure out quickly what's most important to them. Is a commute important to them? Because then I need to know where they work. And if he works or she works in Carlsbad, then Escondido and Del Mar might work, but Chula Vista's gonna blow.
That's gonna suck. Although you might be going against the traffic.
Yes, until you go south at 5 o'clock and you hit the 805.
Oh, that's true. No, you wouldn't be going against the traffic.
I mean, it'd
be the opposite. You could live in Carlsbad and work in Chula Vista. That would work.
That sucks too. Like in the morning.
But it would work because you'd be going the opposite way of all the traffic.
I guess. I mean,
Because the northbound 805 is crazy in the morning, and the southbound 805
But the
is crazy in
southbound
afternoon.
5 is bad until you get to the split.
True.
We're talking, I mean, it's not like, I hear what you're saying, but I think that's what's really important to figure out. And then look at it and go, okay, so if you work in wherever you work, Carlsbad, let's say, let's look at some commutes and wake up the next morning at 7 o'clock and map it. And then as realtors, I send them the map and say, just so you know, if you were going to work today from Chula Vista, right now, here's what Google Earth says, or Google Maps, or Waze, or any of these. It says it's an hour and 20 minutes. And from Escondido, it's saying that it's 40 minutes. And from Del Mar, it says that it's 12 minutes. But here's the deal, Mr. Buyer. You buy in Del Mar, you're buying something totally different than you're buying in Chula Vista. And so the hard part is figuring it down, because exactly to your point, there's so many criteria that a buyer wants to take into account. We want a 3-bedroom. We want a view. We also want a cul-de-sac. And by the way, it's got to be single story. And I've always loved the idea of plantation shutters. and as realtors, we're scratching our heads going, my goodness, okay, let's start. And what you want to do is you want to start broad.
Macro,
Start macro. What I used to do was actually bring a map, and I would label the map Anderson, Evans, whatever it is. So I'm bringing the map. And then we decide, you know what, Steve? I've decided no Escondido. Great, red pen. We're crossing out Escondido.
You know what, Steve? We changed our mind. Escondido's back in.
Eraser, erase. Yeah, there certainly is a fair share of that. But then you can slowly break it down and go, you know what? I would do a townhome. And I think probably the good realtors, in my opinion, in this kind of market, they ask a lot of questions. And they try to figure out what's really important to you. Is it really important that your children go to this school? Okay, because if that's important, then we need to be in that school district. Is it really important to you that your wife, her commute changes? Because right now she's been driving 40 minutes and you'd really love to get that under 30 minutes. Okay, that's valuable information. And then you can start working backwards and figuring out what's most important. I think that most couples get to a point where they feel like, in the end, they don't need some absolute dream home. They just need a good place in a safe community with decent neighbors and decent schools that isn't 90 minutes from work.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that are more important to others,
Absolutely.
to one person than another. But what I'm trying to figure out is how to formulaically go about this process, this buyer consultation, if you will, of where do we even begin? Because it's totally different if someone says, I'm looking in San Marcos, Vista.
Right.
I know, okay, hey, you should talk to Steve.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if they're saying I'm looking, Escondido, Del Mar, and Chula Vista, I don't even know who to refer them to.
Right.
So I need to figure something out there. And there's another thing too, like the typical, the smartest thing you can do is be pre-approved before you start looking, right? That's the smartest possible thing you can do is to know what the financing terms look like, to know what kind of payment you're comfortable with. Figure that all out up front. Okay, so I'm looking right now, if rates stay the same, my buying power to keep the payment where I want it to is 580, let's say. 580. Okay, so 580, that's what I'm looking for. That's my max offer on a property that keeps the payment right where I want it to be. And there's a few variables in there. There could be an HOA or it could be something else, but we're just going to say 580. So then you know where to look, what to search, where can I, because I think if you just sort of willy-nilly go, you're going to find a house at 750 that you really like and has everything you want. And then the come to Jesus moment is when you see the payment quote and you go, that's $1,000 a month more than we want to spend. Yeah. So, where do you begin? I've heard that it's not wise to push people to pre-approvals too early because, your most qualified people, first of all, won't want to do it. They know they're qualified. They want to look at homes. Right. People who may be harder to qualify, also may be a more complicated process. So they may become discouraged because there's going to be a lot more questions, going to be a lot of scrutiny, and they don't even know what they're doing this for yet.
Right.
How do you balance that part of it?
So typically we'll do 1 or 2 showings before they're pre-approved in order to let them get a taste of the market. Because I agree that the fun part and the real part is the driving around and looking at property and figuring out I think I tell buyers the most fun is at the very beginning and at the very end.
Yep.
Like when you start the looking and it's monopoly money. We haven't even thought about what the payment is. We don't know about the down payment. We don't know where the money's coming from or all the different paperwork. All I'm doing is I'm going out with my wife and we're looking at houses.
You're basically a critic at that point.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it.
You're just walking into houses going, hate that, love that.
Sucks. Why would somebody do that? I'm out of here.
He's just left and right. That's
What a
all it is.
loser. They put pink. Ha ha
Yeah.
ha ha.
They should redo this whole, they should knock this wall out.
Yeah.
And they're just doing all this stuff.
This is a great, that's a great term. They are a critic.
You're HGTVing it
Exactly.
with someone else's money, with funny money.
Yeah.
And then at some point, though, what inevitably will happen if you look at enough properties is you'll walk into one and go, holy shit,
Exactly.
I think we want this one.
And it happens sooner than you think. And here is the challenge of doing more than 2 showings without a buyer being pre-approved. Has nothing to do with like, well, sometimes people can't get approved or there's something on their credit or delays it. Those are all real. But more typically what happens is a buyer says, hey, today's going to be our first day. We're not going to buy anything today. We're just going to go have fun. Many times that's how I'll set it up. Hey, today we're not buying anything. Like, let's just look and have fun and we'll get a Jamba Juice. And we drive around and they walk in and they go, oh, hell, we want this place. And then becomes the like panic of now I got to do everything. Now I need to get pre-approved. I need to submit all my paperwork. I need to put a rush on everything to the lender. I also need to figure out how to submit an offer and talk to my agent. And we've got to look at comps. And oh, I got to figure out where the money's coming from. And it creates this panic, which is never any fun. As we've talked about, no good financial decisions are made in haste. And all it does is build the pressure. The benefit truly of getting pre-approved first is that you do one thing at a time. You get that stuff all settled. But to your point, most buyers would rather feel like, I want to just look. The fun part is looking. Let me eat dessert, and then we can figure out what I'm going to have for the appetizer. So
Vegetables second, huh?
I really tried, but the critic was way better. I tried like my own example, just trying to.
You are a house critic.
I'm a house critic.
And it's fun. It's fun to be a house critic.
That's great.
You know what I
And
mean?
it's super fun.
Yeah. So systematically, how? I mean, is there a form? Is there a certain list of questions that you use for people who are looking to buy? Because by the way, I just want to mention this is possibly, actually, I'm just going to say that it is the best time we've seen for people to buy homes in the last 10 years. If you look back 10 years ago, or right when the crash began, that was a very scary time to buy. Financing was ugly. There's a tremendous amount of uncertainty, foreclosures left and right. That was 10 years ago from right now.
Yeah.
And since then, since we bottomed out, there was an amazing chance to buy for equity back then, but it was scary. It was really scary. You had lower rates, you had lower prices, but it was very scary. Most people were like, no way.
Yeah, because it could drop another 20%.
They were just like, no way am I getting it. Now we can look at it and we can go, well, here we have a great opportunity where sellers have been dominating the market for at least the past 6 to 7 years, completely dominated the market. Yeah. Buyers now have some hand. They have the ability to go in and not have to be in a rush and not have to be so crazy with haste. They might be the only offer on a property, and quite possibly they are right now. So a great opportunity to buy. So that's what we're talking about. We're producing buyer shows, Finding Home Base, SoCal Home Buyers Television. I've been waiting for years to produce these shows. We're helping people through the buying process. And I myself, as the host, am getting a crash course in what that looks like.
And the complexity of the buyer.
The complexity of the buyer. What is their motivation? What is important to them? Where do we even begin? Yeah. I have a minute and a half voicemail I could play for you right now from someone who's kind of like, well, we're going to buy a house for my parents. My sister's going to be the one who gets the financing. We're not sure what they want, but they want,
a good
something
deal
like this.
Yeah.
We have approximately this much down, and we're open to these areas, and there's like 12 different areas.
Yeah.
So it starts to get to a point where it's like, wow, there is a lot here going on, and immediately I'm beginning to see the value of the agent, which I know is hard for people on the outside to see, but as someone who's trying to genuinely help people,
absolutely,
and provide them with information and provide them with guidance, I'm quickly seeing that I need to get these people with someone who can help them figure this out. And it's not something that I've been able to go, okay, well, here's my checklist of questions. I'm trying to figure that out. I want to formulate it.
Yeah.
but I don't know if it can be done over the phone. I don't know if it can be done without extensive knowledge about the person's life, work. I mean, you really need to know everything about them. You almost have to become them so that you can try to have a starting point.
Which is why I think most agents, myself included, when I first get a call that says, hey, Steve, we were referred by so-and-so and we're interested in purchasing a property, I will say, great, let's meet. Let's schedule a time so that I can get a little bit of a feel of what are you looking for. And then I try to play a little bit of devil's advocate. Somebody says, hey, I've got to have a single family home. Okay, could you do a townhome? Could you do nobody above you or below you, but you share one wall, like a twin home, something like that, that might have its own exclusive yard. Price point might be lower. You might be able to get into more of the Del Mars versus the Escondidos. What do you think? And somebody that can create a lot of those questions, and then people go, I never thought about that. In the terms of the finishes, like who cares? Like talking about shutters and that kind of stuff. But also discovering for some people, buying a property that is move-in ready is a really high priority, and that it's most important that, hey, husband and wife are not handy at all. All we want to do is just get the keys and not touch anything and be able to move our stuff in. And other people say, great, remove a wall, I'm all for it. And of course, there's everywhere in between. It's hard. It's hard, and it requires a tremendous amount of hand-holding. And when people are in vast areas, you're talking about 12 neighborhoods, I don't know how wide they go, but if they go North County to East County to, hey, we'd love to be downtown, but it's probably too expensive, so can we look in Imperial or something like that? It's rare that that's going to be one person that's going to be able to speak intelligently on that. And really, the bigger question I think that we discover is that what people want is they want value, and they want to know that they're purchasing a good investment, especially for first-time home buyers that don't know the process as well. And they want to have a place that they can feel safe and that they're happy and that their friends can come and visit, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, all coming into it with the expectation that it's going to be somewhat similar to what they're renting. That hey, I'm renting in a nice neighborhood for $2,000 a month, so I expect to be in a good neighborhood for $2,000 a month and own it. Mm-hmm. Which is possible, you just need a lot of money down.
Yeah, it can be done. It can be done. And so it's a tough one. It's been really tough. Just as a serious wake-up call on exactly how difficult this can be, starting from scratch.
Absolutely.
Some buyers do know. They've looked at the market. They've been in the market for a while. They do understand.
They go to open houses. They've seen what their neighbor's place sold for, et cetera, et cetera.
They know where they want to be. I want to be in this neighborhood. I'm just waiting for one to pop up. That's different. But most people who want help with the home buying process, which is essentially what we're offering, they don't know anything. They don't know anything. And getting them up to speed is not a quick thing to do. I mean, like I can tell you right now, if you know at least the area and the price point, you're way ahead of where most buyers are.
Absolutely.
If you just say, we want Oceanside under 500,000.
Absolutely.
Great. I mean, that is something where it's like, okay, we can really narrow this down. I can get you to a great agent in that area. Yeah. We can start looking at links of properties together and start getting a feel for what does it look like under 500,000 in Oceanside, which by the way, you can get a ton under 500,000 in Oceanside right now. You can get a turnkey, badass home, you know what I mean? That's dialed in and ready to roll. I don't think people realize that. I think, by the way, as much upside as there's been in Oceanside for the last 5 years, because I called the bottom of Oceanside in 2013. Right. I still think it's the place that has the most upside.
Yeah, I think South O has kind of been discovered. West of the 5, there's a community, South O is what it's called, that has older property, 1920s and 30s up to 40s, that has raised foundation where the price point is not as extreme as it is in like North Park, but there's some similarities there. But I agree that, it's amazing to me, other than schools, which are significantly different from Oceanside to Carlsbad, it's the same beach, it's the same climate, it's the same people as Carlsbad, but Carlsbad is $150,000 more.
And that's what I'm seeing. When I look at Oceanside, I'm like, this is what Carlsbad looked like 10 years ago. There's also one in Vista that I'm going to pull it up so we can look at it together.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah, this one, I know the listing agents, and they're like, yeah, this house is not moving, and we can't really, figure out why. So let me just.
This better not be my house. If I go home and there's a sign in my yard, I've always thought about doing that.
What's that?
As a joke to a good friend. Put a little sign in there. They go on vacation, just put a sign out front.
So just assume the sale, take it to a whole new level. All right, you can pull it up now, Carrie. So here it is. This is,
West Connecticut.
let me see here. Let me zoom it in for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, West Connecticut. So this is in, you can see, it's under 400,000, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1127 square feet. So no garage is the one downside on this one.
Is it manufactured?
No.
Can you show me a map? West Connecticut.
Yeah, it's near downtown. But I mean, it's cute, it's cozy, it's got.
You've already got the realtor verbiage, cute and cozy over
It
here.
is. It is. Look at it. I mean, obviously, it's not huge.
Yeah, no, but cute and cozy.
But location is great. Walk-in closets. It's got new carpet, paint. The flooring is in good shape. It's really got a lot going for it.
Show me on a map. Can you show me on a map?
Yeah, we'll pull up the map.
West Connecticut.
Under 400.
92081. Is that South Santa Fe? Yeah. I know it. North Melrose, Olive.
Right now,
it's right across the street from Washington Middle School.
Yep. It is not in the absolute best location in Vista.
Yes.
But it's one of those great investment opportunities, I think, where this will become.
Absolutely. If you scroll that map just barely south.
Okay.
So I have a good friend. You can stop it right there. I have a very good friend who is a commercial broker that does quite a bit of business in downtown Vista. Maybe I should have him on the show. He talked about what's happening in Vista. His words, not mine. He says downtown Vista, basically right where that dot is, that blue dot.
This here?
That is going to be, his words, like Vegas. They're going to put high rises in there downtown Vista. They're going to
He said Vegas?
Vegas.
So here's
His words.
our properties right here that we're talking about right
Yeah.
now. This is a steal, I think. And honestly, it's one of these ones where this is one of those ones where the listing agents might buy it.
Yeah.
Because if the market doesn't see it sometimes, and I know you've also said that that's happened to you before, where the market hasn't seen the value in a listing or something like that, and you said, you know what, Mr. Seller, I'll buy this from you.
I do think that's, the rental we just purchased, my wife and I, is 3 blocks to the right. You could.
To the right of what?
If you just
This
move
way?
that map, yeah, it's just up that road.
Right there.
It's on Hillside, so there's a
Hillside.
civic
I see it.
civic center.
Hillside Terrace, right here?
Yes, Hillside Terrace, right
There
there.
it is, right there.
So that's where we purchased.
Okay.
A little duplex there.
Yep. See, and so then this is like the downtown area, and so
And there's a train station there. If you go just barely south, all of that is new. They've got new breweries in there, Belching Beaver, Mother Earth. Excuse me. There's
whole bunch of stuff.
they've
There's
got
a
the
water park right
Sinopolis
here.
in there. The water park is in there.
Yep.
And that's the area where they're putting money.
So here's, here's a great opportunity in Vista, right there, under 400,000, and they don't have any offers. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Like buyers really need to wake up.
Well, and here's what's so crazy to me. Probably most lenders, mortgage nerd, or
Mortgage
geek nerd, slightly different, but watching the mortgage geek a little bit, and him talking about interest rates are going to be going up. We've talked about that likely in December that there are going to be another bump there. If the prices come down and the interest rate goes up, you're probably paying more per month. And that's something that's interesting to me to see buyers sit on the sideline. My opinion now, if as a realtor, if you were there's only one demographic that in my opinion should wait, and that's a cash buyer. They have the opportunity to be really, really selective, and if something isn't perfect, then they can wait a little bit longer because prices might adjust mildly down further. Otherwise, if you're a seller or you're a buyer, you got to do it now because the market's going to change. If you're a buyer, the interest rate is going to go up, and that's going to bring your payment up even if prices come down. If you're a seller, the prices are going to come down mildly. How crazy, we don't know.
Yeah, but they will come down, won't they?
And so no, I think there's some fantastic opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, and that's just one of them, and that's just one that I happened to run across. But it seemed to me when I saw the condition of the property, and 3-bed, 2-bath, and it's right there, in a very in what is sort of the almost a North Parkish.
Right, but
piece
and
of
here's
Vista.
and here's the challenge in my opinion is that most buyers don't want to be in emerging markets, up and coming neighborhoods. They don't want to wait. Most buyers, what they want is, I want to be in North Park, done, fixed up, granite. The problem is that's $1.3 million. But Steve, I want to do it. I got $450. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah.
And if you've got $450, that's a perfect example. West Connecticut, emerging. Probably you're going to have to wait 2 years, but long term, that's going to be a kick-ass neighborhood.
That's going to be a great property for someone,
Right.
for sure. And people are going to look back and be like, "You only paid $400 for that?"
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And they're going to go, "Yeah, I only paid $400 because I had the stones to come in there and buy it before it was perfect yet." You know what I mean? That's actually one of the best things you can do in real estate speculation is to buy in places like, look for where there's bad schools and buy in those areas. You know what I mean? It's weird, but especially in San Diego where everything is going to be gentrified eventually.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be one of those places where that doesn't happen. I mean, depending upon what they do with rent control, people voted it down, but now the legislatures are trying to make it happen anyway. We'll see what happens. But with something like this, all those things that are coming in, they always say follow the orange cones.
Right.
If you're buying real estate, there's going to be a lot of orange cones there. There's a lot of, figuratively speaking, there's a lot of new development. There's a lot of money being put. It's just like the west side of Chula Vista,
Right.
which has never made any sense to me. How the east side is the only place, South Bay is the only place in all of San Diego County where it's better to be east than west. The hell? So they're coming in and they're dropping $1 billion into that area, the Bay area there in Chula Vista on the west side. They're dropping $1 billion in commercial stuff. That's all, everyone knows it. It's happening. So the west side of Chula Vista makes a lot of sense now. It was speculative a few years ago when I was saying you should buy in the west side of Chula Vista because there's no way being close to the water is going to be worse in the long run. But now that the ink has been, it's been signed, the money is coming, they're putting the stuff in, it's happening for sure. Now buying in the west side of Chula Vista makes a hell of a lot of sense. In fact, I talked to a Marine recently who's looking to buy. He wants to become a real estate investor. He's like, where's the best place to invest? He told me, he said, I've been looking at the west side of Chula Vista. I was like, you're a freaking genius, by the way, because that's probably the best possible place that you could be.
No, what you meant to say is, you're a freaking genius because you agree with me.
No.
That makes you genius.
I said, you're a genius because they are putting $1 billion in down there.
Yeah.
And the west side of Chula Vista is at that point where it's not there yet.
Yeah.
It's not there yet. You still have a lot of things that
Yes.
aren't ideal for home values going on. But as that money starts pouring in over there and as people start going, I want access to that, and they start seeing what the prices are down there, first of all, the flippers will come in, they'll buy a lot of those houses, they'll do them up, and they'll do the same thing with every area that's been gentrified, the same thing has happened. And I think that'll happen in the west side of Chula Vista.
Hey,
Let's see,
Jason Blackburn.
What's up, Jason? He said, what about Fallbrook? New homes off the
Yeah.
76 and the 15.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of new building that's going in. East of the 15, they're going to be putting in some crazy number. I don't want to say that.
It's thousands, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 2,000 is
Yeah.
what it is.
Higher price point, though, right?
I mean, a range with most newer construction, they're pushing the price point. But you see, the crazy thing is out there is some views that come from out there,
Yeah.
and the argument has been for that new construction is, hey, you're right off the freeway. So yes, it's a little bit further north than say Escondido or Vista off the 78, but all you got to do is pop on that 15 and you fly. However, as you get to the Temecula's and that commute home, I'm very interested to see how 2,000 homes in Fallbrook is going to impact not only the commute, but the values to Temecula, because 2,000 homes is going to bring 4,000 more cars, and is going to bring somebody commuting somewhere. There's not a huge amount of industry in Fallbrook. Most people aren't living in Fallbrook and working
Well,
in
let me
Fallbrook.
just let you rest assured. Temecula is going to be okay. Okay, Temecula is going to be just fine. Now, Fallbrook itself, now that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
If those homes become competition for Fallbrook, you could see some problems there.
I think that Fallbrook is a very unique community in that Fallbrook wants to remain orange and avocado groves. Fallbrook is not, as the core people that are there, I would say most of them are uninterested in having a bunch of tract housing around.
Same thing in Vista. They don't want Sinopolis in Vista. The Vistans do not want all that.
Well,
but it's coming.
I
So-
agree it's coming. Vista's unique in that Vista, I feel like, has a foot in both worlds. It has the rural communities that used to have acre minimum. It also has the tract communities of Shadowridge. Fallbrook doesn't have any tracts. This is going to be one of, they have some small builders that have done 8 and 12 and 15 homes. This is going to be the first big tract.
Fallbrook has suburbia.
Yeah.
They have it. They're really, really well-priced homes, too.
Yeah.
And they're closer to the downtown Fallbrook area. They have them. Yeah. But what I mean is that it could hurt Fallbrook from a price standpoint if it's like, oh, well, hey, they're building new houses over here for $499. I mean, I don't know what the price points are. Usually these new developments, it's 700 plus, and it's like a whole different ballgame.
Right.
But if they're going to compete price-wise with the homes in Fallbrook, that could be a problem for them. Now,
agree.
these new homes aren't going to have acreage, though, right? I mean, they're going to.
No, it's still going to be
Postage
8,000.
stamps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
8,000
So-
lots.
So, okay, so they're going to be like 1/5 an acre, 1/6 of an acre, which isn't bad. You have a decent yard for that, but they're not going to be real competition. They're not going to be real comps for Fallbrook. But if they're in the same price range, you could lure people away because a lot of the homes in Fallbrook are older.
And most buyers like new product.
They do. It's easy to like a new house. First house I bought was brand new, and it was amazing.
And you walk through the model, and everything smells nice, and they're like waving this carrot in front of you of travertine and all this stuff. Of course, nobody tells you that when you buy the house, what you also have just bought is a dirt lot, usually with no fence. So you don't calculate on top of living in this house, now I need to go out and actually do a landscape, which typically is 10% of the value. So if I buy it for $500,000 and I want to put a legit backyard in, there's $50,000.
Yeah,
Nobody tells you that.
yeah.
But
Buyer beware on the new construction for sure.
and I would also say you tend to pay a little bit of a premium in new construction, just because if I'm going to go put in flooring, I can find somebody that'll do it at cost or a small markup. But if I do it through the builder and I finance it, then they can make it twice as much, et cetera, et cetera.
True.
If you're buying new construction with the thought that you're going to flip it or sell it, don't do it. If you're going to stay there for a long time, great investment.
Depends on when you get it in the development, right?
Absolutely.
Early stage purchases in those developments can be very profitable.
Absolutely. And if you're the last house or the last two houses, what builders do is they try to sell the models at the end. The idea being that then they've got those as leverage and they're already totally fixed up, and they can say, hey, you know what, this one that you just walked through, this one is for sale, you can have it. But sometimes if there are situations where the last phase won't be the models and they'll have one more phase, if they have 3 homes to sell and they've got some person sitting there that's basically just waiting for you to walk through, there's opportunity to negotiate.
That's true.
And my opinion, with this market that is coming, there is opportunity always to negotiate with builders.
Yep.
And many of them, like Bosa downtown, they'll say, sorry, no negotiating. We won't play that. Try it. See what
Make an
happens.
offer.
Yeah.
Make an offer. So there's opportunity. So that's a good question. Thanks for bringing that up, Jason, because it's true that is coming, and that we've known this is coming for a while. I don't know when they're planning on breaking ground.
I'm a realtor.
You should look into that for us. Come back next time with information.
We'll get back to you, Jason. Nice to see you.
But they'll be there. And,
Yeah.
and there's an opportunity there, and that's something to keep in mind. Don't worry about Temecula, though. Temecula's going to be just fine. You know why?
Why?
The wine. Bro, the wine is amazing. I'm just telling you,
You're going to say that the whole housing market is propped up by wine out there?
yeah,
And great schools.
big time.
Great schools, don't get me wrong.
Great schools, newer, and wine.
Yes, I agree. Newer.
Done. I mean, it's closer to Vegas.
They got Pachanga right there. Who needs Vegas?
True. No, but Temecula is going to be just fine. Fallbrook, I'd be more concerned about. Escondido, I'd be more concerned about. I mean, if I owned a property in rural Escondido right now, I'd be concerned about the value of my home. I'd be very concerned.
Escondido's unique. Escondido has some really incredible property.
No, they do. There's amazing houses out
yeah.
there. Please don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Some of the homes are absolutely fantastic, crazy actually. And there's some of those some of the areas there. They have I'm forgetting the name of the one main
Mary
sort of
Lane?
rural area out there in Escondido. Why am I forgetting the name of this right now? But they have multiple acre lots,
Yeah.
which is great, but it's super far.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. 20, 25 minutes to the 15.
to the 15.
Yeah. And then you're in North County, and so then if you want to, wherever you want to go, if you want to go, Rancho Bernardo is another 10 minutes. If you want to go down to
Valley Center is what I was trying to think of. I don't know
Yeah.
why I was stuck on that. So Valley Center.
Yeah.
Which, and you do have a lot of stuff local there that you can get to. So like most of your living needs and stuff like that can be handled locally, which is great. But to get anywhere else,
Yeah.
if you need to leave there, it's problematic. So you have to really want to be in that setting. And if there becomes a glut, if there becomes too many homes in the market, if it gets soft, man, it can get really soft fast.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
the trouble.
And that, I would say, getting into those properties is easier than getting out of them. And if you get yourself in a position where you decide, hey, you know what, we've been here for a couple years and I don't really want to live in Valley Center anymore, even priced well, it's harder for them to move because the challenge is you need a demographic that is specifically looking for Valley Center. I think, when we talk about Vista, et cetera, in terms of the investment side, what I like is properties that you can get into and get out of relatively quickly, that have more liquidity. Valley Center, in my opinion, same with other rural communities, at times is not very liquid.
Right.
Because there's a smaller piece of the pie, there's a smaller demographic of buyers that are saying, we specifically want to live in Valley Center. And usually the reason is they want huge acreage, their family is there. That's where things get tricky.
Yeah, it gets tricky because, especially if it's not truly a unique property.
Right.
That's the trouble with the whole idea of, and I understand what they tried to do in Valley Center was essentially say, let's tract out the country here,
Right.
But we'll make them 4-acre tracts,
Right.
and that's great. But the problem is 3 or 4 of them come on the market. Like this is a unique buyer situation.
Yeah.
3 or 4 of them come on the market, and it can get brutal quickly. But if you do a search right now for homes, you'll see that there's a lot of homes on the market. There's a lot to choose from. There's some really good deals out there. There still are some hot homes, if you will, that will fly off the shelf and that will get multiple offers. That will happen. But just like the one we just looked at in downtown Vista, under $400,000, 3-bed, 2-bath, a home that's ready to go.
And you said the agent said crickets?
Nothing.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long. It's only been on the market maybe 10 or 12 days, something like that. But they're really surprised. They thought for sure it would fly.
And typically what I'm telling buyers is if a seller comes on the market, that seller came on the market November the 5th.
Yeah.
If somebody comes on the market November 5th, they're a real seller.
Yep.
They are motivated.
Oh, it's fake it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is opportunity knocking right here. It's stuff like that. And it makes sense. I think they said it would rent for like $2,500 or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. You said 3-2. Yeah.
Yeah. 3-2, turnkey, good to go. The only downside of the property is no garage.
No garage. Yeah.
That's it. So, but there's big driveway. There's street parking as well. So you don't really have a parking issue, but you just don't have no garage.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the downside. So there's interesting deals out there. We could talk all day about this stuff.
I love talking to
I
you.
know, it's great, man. So I need you to research the homes out in Fallbrook.
And next time, can you guys get me some like really dark sunglasses, just so like it's kind of feeling kind of bright over this, coming this direction?
Here, Amrita, will you throw me Steve's wallet real quick?
I knew this. I knew
Yeah,
the shaming
just
was
grab me.
coming.
No, because you know what the great thing is about this jacket? There's lots of pockets.
I don't know
I
if
wanna
they're big
show
enough
you.
though.
Yeah.
I don't
it's
know
okay.
if they're big enough.
Well, that's what we're going to find out. So let's see if we can get this.
I want you to know.
No, that's very well organized. I want everyone to know that as big as this thing is, as heavy as it is very well organized. Things are very tidy in there. Do you see that?
I want
is
you to know.
tidy.
I saw somebody actually robbing a bank, and I was able to chuck it
You hit him with it?
through, and I was. No, officer,
I
I
don't
was
know.
just going home.
I don't know if you can see that or not. The bulge. Here, let me give you a profile. Yeah, I'm wearing jeans, so what?
There it is.
You see that?
Oh, wait, yeah, right there.
Look at that. I mean, that is crazy. I can actually take Steve's face out with his own wallet right here. Get out of the way. I don't have room for your wallet and you on the stage.
Oh, I love it.
So I expose everything. There you go, sir. That's amazing. All right, so buyers, get out there. It's a great opportunity. So research those properties for us, and then I'm going to need a checklist from you on how to consult with buyers ASAP, because we have a lot of buyers who want to get in the market, and I think rightfully so. We just need to find the guidance. So I think if you can figure out just where first, that's a great start.
Yeah.
Where and then how much. Those are the two things. Like if you want to buy, really take a look at like where do you want to be.
Absolutely.
With regard to schools, with regard to work, commutes, figure that out. And then we need to start looking at payments. And you can sort of back up like, hey, we want to spend $3,000 a month. You can sort of, get online, Google a mortgage calculator and figure out, okay, where is that approximately price-wise?
Absolutely.
At least have that as a starting point. And of course, you should share this video to make your friends smarter than everyone else. Thanks for tuning in.